Hey guys, this season is taking a little bit of a downward turn for me, even though I think this week's episode was one of the more entertaining and one of the better episodes of the season. Some of the jokes really hit, the references were there, the songs were pretty top notch, and a lot of the choreography really actually stunned me this week, which is usually not something I point out. So not to be a negative Nelly, but some of this story I feel like is not doing these characters justice, and so that's what I kind of want to dive into today. But before we do that, our Wildcat of the week, because he was truly rising to the occasion, being better, getting his head literally in the game, and that was Jet. Jet showed up for Maddox, and I kind of love the fact that it was spawned by Ricky's advice of what prompted him to join the musical in the first place, because it's, I think, a really healthy recommendation of if you want to become closer with someone, fix a relationship in your life, sometimes you have to improve yourself by putting yourself out of your comfort zone, trying new things, or potentially putting others first. Him putting effort into something she cares about, this camp, and proving just how much she means to him by showing how much the camp means to him. Bravo, Jet. I also really liked the canoe book ending of this episode, kind of focusing specifically on Gina and EJ's relationship. And here's where a big crux of something that I think I have to address. I have to be honest with myself and with you guys. The ship, literally the canoe that they are in, is sinking. I see the writing on the wall. I wanted to ignore it in the past. I wanted to say no, but it is becoming increasingly obvious to me that the time that Gina has spent with Ricky this season is not just a let's create issues for EJ and Gina to work around so they can make their relationship stronger, and it is not just, it's literally them wanting to make you comfortable with Gina and Ricky spending more time together and seeing them on screen and getting used to that, in my opinion. Now, is this a path that I think the show would have taken had Olivia Rodrigo still stayed in the show? No. I think a lot of this season actually is a big representation of what happens when you fill your show with a lot of young stars, bank on them, and then all of their careers start to take off, because there are so many characters that I actually cared about last season that we don't have in this show, and I'm really starting to feel it now that they're being either cut out or erased from the story. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Back to EJ and Gina. I think that I see now that their relationship is going downhill. Now, I still don't think that Gina reciprocates Ricky's feelings for her, but to all of you who have been calling this out, do I still ship Rena? No. I'm sorry, I don't. I will always be attached to the small little pocket of time that EJ and Gina were together, and specifically talking about risotto last season, those happy days when all of the hope was ahead of us and none of the heartbreak was in front of me yet. Their communication issues just persist. But the thing that pisses me off, that I will not back down from, that I said last week, I said their major issue was a communication issue, and if Gina just were to hear EJ out, or EJ were to properly explain what was going on, neither of them would be mad at each other. So that's what happens exactly verbatim in one sentence at the beginning of this episode. EJ explains that doing well at the musical and focusing now, even if it sucks that they're not spending as much time at camp together, means his dad won't send him away because he doesn't want to go to leadership camp, and then he will be able to spend more time with Gina. Plain and simple, that's his plan. That's what's on the forefront of his mind. She agrees, they kiss, beautiful. All resolved. The thing that bothers me is Gina responds with, as long as we can just make today fun and be happy in the present, as if all of a sudden she doesn't care that he's going away, because we know she does, and she's allowed to care. But two, literally she spent the whole last week's episode ruining the present, and I get it, she was upset, she was emotional. However, I was a little peeved that she now wants to enjoy the present, even though last week that didn't seem to be a concern for her, and it was all about him ruining their future together, and now it's reversed. But does that just lead to show me that these two characters have issues? Yes. And then of course by the end of the episode, back in the canoe, when EJ doesn't say you're not allowed to have dates to the prom, but of course I'll be your date, whatever, and then they kiss, that was the way to recover that, dude, and you dropped the ball hard. Now anything that happens is kind of your fault. Once again, it's just a communication issue, and it's bothering me. The other thing that I felt was a little cheap from this show that I kind of saw through was Ricky is obviously on an upswing at the end of the season, okay? Even though he's been caught with his feelings for Gina, he's not going to ruin anything. He is helping Jet. He helps Gina. And at the end of this episode, Jet explains that at the dance prom thing last year, that's when Maddox broke up with her girlfriend. And Ricky's I know exactly what I'm going to do. And that's where the episode cuts out. And I think they want us to think that he's going to break EJ and Gina up. But Ricky, I hope, is too good to do that. I do not believe that that's what's going to happen. That's what they want us to think is going to happen, but that's not what's going to happen. And so now I just feel I got to wait till next week when they reveal what's actually going on. Again, I don't mean to be negative about the show, but I just feel there's a couple of cheaper swings that they're taking, and I feel to a large extent that the season is kind of, again, just being development for the next season rather than actually events that are happening. And another big part of this that I feel strongly about is Ashlyn's all of a sudden crush on Val, which is not because I object to her having a crush on Val. It is the big red erasure that this show is intentionally doing. And again, if I sit back with my 22-year-old brain and I say to myself, you know, you could be in a situation where you're apart from your significant other, things aren't convenient, you're discovering new things about yourself as a person, and all of a sudden you realize you like somebody else, especially at that young of an age. Could so easy. It's not like she did anything wrong. But I think the thing that bothers me is Big Red's not even here to be defended, first of all. It's just sort of like, oh, okay, we can just write him off and you'll never see him again. And I feel like it's been half-baked, Ashlyn's storyline. Like, this has only just cropped up in a couple of conversations with her, and it's almost like her being in the ensemble as opposed to being like a cast member, which, let's flash back, she was in the ensemble the first season. Last season, she was just the lead. So I don't know why all of a sudden that's affecting her so much. I feel like the storyline has been half-baked, where it could have been this really interesting storyline, and I don't know if it'll pick up in the last 2 episodes or not, or be something that's explored further in a future season. But I'm just kind of feeling the effects of not having the full cast there this season. Like, I even think Carlos has been reduced to some jokes. Like, Courtney had her one talk about anxiety to her mom, and that's been like her entire character development this season. So I feel like it's all just stuck around the love triangle. I don't mean to be overly negative about this episode. I just feel like I'm noticing these things to the point where I'm getting less and less excited about the show, because either I feel like it's cheap shots, I'm being tricked into believing something that the next week's gonna be untrue, or I'm like emotionally investing deeply in something that is gonna go away quickly, or like I'm supposed to immediately feel emotions about something that's happening just now to a character. So that's kind of frustrating. Did I love seeing Miss Jen again? Yes, she was wonderful, and her references to, no, you can't have Carlos, she's mommy's, that was so funny. I love her as a character, and I think her dynamic with the kids just works so well, and that's something I've honestly, again, missed this season. Missed severely. Then, of course, I loved the reference to the 2006 to 2008 Disney Channel games, because, yes, that was my childhood. Brings back the memes, okay? But that is all for this episode. What did you think of this episode of High School Musical, the musical, the series? Please let me know in a comment down below, and let me know your overall thoughts on this season and how it's progressed for you. If you like this review, please be sure to like this video, as I will be doing weekly HSMTMTS reviews and live streams on Monday evenings. Apologies for missing this last one, but I will be back next week. Thank you all so much for watching. Have an absolutely amazing day or night whenever you're getting to watch this, and I will see you in my very next video. Bye, y'all.